Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the final Lunch and Learn of 2024 through the Southwestern Vermont Chamber of Commerce. I'm the Executive Director, Matt Harrington, and to my right, would you introduce yourself?
Hi, I am Erica Floriani, Membership Manager here at the Chamber.
Great. So welcome, everybody. We love this format. We know that many of our businesses, nonprofits, remote workers, you have very, very busy schedules. And so we've really taken this opportunity at noon throughout the year, and we'll continue into next year, to broadcast digitally. So wherever you're working, wherever you are, in the car, working on something, or as we had one person do while they were cooking the lunch, serving to customers, they've had our Lunch and Learns on. So we're very grateful for that. We're also very grateful for the Heritage Family Credit Union. They are our sponsors for the Lunch and Learns and our educational programming this year at the Chamber. And so we're very excited to have them as our partner. All right, so the last one of the year, and this has been quite a tradition for my last 9 years here, is we always like to end our Lunch and Learn series in November with an overview of healthcare and how that's all going to impact or change or what have you as we go into the next year. And so we have with us here today Rose Rittenhouse with the Richards Group, and she's going to walk us through what the 2025 changes look like for healthcare. Rose, are you also, I think you're going to do maybe some dental and vision overview as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And as many of our members know, we do have a dental and vision group plan, which is very affordable for our small businesses and a great way to help retain your workers. And then in the second half of the show, we're going to hear from Vermont State Treasurer Mike Pichek. He's graciously joined us today. He has some really big news and great news to share. I know many of us have been aware that Vermont Saves is kind of turning on in this year and next year. And so we're going to hear from State Treasurer Pichek on all the happenings that are happening there. And finally, we have to thank our partners over at Cat TV. We appreciate Mike Cutler and the team over there. They are helping us broadcast throughout the year, and they are also helping us broadcast today, not only as we welcome our members onto a Zoom call, but also into Facebook and those channels, as well as this will be recorded and available at the Chamber and at Cat TV for the foreseeable future. So if you miss anything, this is some heady stuff here, so sometimes it can get confusing. You can always go back and rewatch as well. So with that, we will get underway, and I want to introduce Rose. Rose, would you just give us a little bit of an overview of who you are and what the Richards Group is all about, and then you can dig right into healthcare.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Rose, and I work at the Richards Group, and I work on the Select Business Unit team, which is a team of 5 on the total rewards team. So we work on administering employee benefits, make sure that clients of ours have a full understanding of what's available and what's offered. And then we also assist with implementing those and helping throughout the year. And then if you're ready for me, I can go ahead and share.
Yeah, please do.
So let me share my screen and move my notes. Okay, can everyone, I'm not used to Zoom, but can you see the Lunch and Learn logo? Good to go?
I can't see anything, Rose.
Oh, okay, Let me try one more time.
There we go.
There we go. Yep, now I can see it.
Good? All right, now let me just pull up my notes. Forgive me. Okay, perfect. So yeah, welcome to this year's healthcare section of the Southwest Vermont Chamber's Lunch and Learn. Again, my name is Rose, and I work at the Richards Group, based out of the Brattleboro office, and I'm happy to be here to discuss benefits for plan year 2025. Here is, I was going to say, is my information? Yes. Okay. It's a little small in here, but it's again at the end. My contact information, should anyone be watching this outside of the live presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. I tried to see if there were any familiar names in the chat, and I did a quick look, but I'm sure some of you may be familiar with the Richards Group, but just in case, the Richards Group is a family-owned, independent insurance, employee benefits, and financial services firm. They were founded in 1867, and while we've certainly grown throughout the years, I believe we're around 150 employees nowadays, we still are, committed to our business model, which is a commitment to provide exceptional service and solution to those in need. So we have 12 offices. They're located both in Vermont and New Hampshire. And while most of us work remote, we still tend to gather often in those areas. So our business is broken up into 4 different divisions. There's commercial lines, personal lines, our investment advisors, and then the total rewards team, which is the one I am currently on. So first, we're going to review the small group rates for both Blue Cross Blue Shield and MVP for the benefit year 2025. For anyone who has been following along or working on crunching numbers for next year, I'm sure you are aware of the cost increases for 2025. Looking at Blue Cross Blue Shield, they initially requested an average rate increase of 19%, and then later they filed an additional 5% for a total average rate increase of 24%. However, the Green Mountain Care Board reduced the average rate increase to 22.8%, which you can see on this slide, which they applied to their plans ranging from 12 to 26%. So overall, there were some slight changes in plan design, but the same plans that are offered this year through Blue Cross Blue Shield are going to be offered in 2025 as well. And then looking at MVP, they initially requested an average rate increase of 9% and later filed an additional 2.5, resulting in an 11.5% request. And again, the Green Mountain Care Board reduced this and said that they could increase to 11.1%, which again, you can see they applied to their plans on this. It ranges from 10 to 13%, again, with some slight changes in plan designs. There's one big change for MVP this year, and you will see that there is a new gold plan. It's a gold 4 plan, non-standard, offered in 2025. They also removed the non-standard gold 2 plan this year, so it's basically a replacement. So if you currently do offer MVP and you offer the non-standard gold 2 plan, definitely take a look at who's enrolled in that and just make sure that they have an election set up for 2025. So let's move on. So again, what's changing? The new non-standard gold plan, and then the removal of the gold 2 plan. And then aside from that one change, the same selection of qualified health plans will be offered in 2025. All plans will cover essential health benefits. And for those of you that aren't too familiar with this term, it's basically a set of health services such as doctor visits, hospital care, prescriptions, support when it comes to mental health, pregnancy and like infant care, emergency services, pediatric, lab tests, and also preventative services. So these benefits make sure that insurance plans cover the basics that people actually need to stay healthy. So that will still be the same. Local and national access to providers and facilities through the EPO, which stands for Exclusive Provider Organization Network, meaning care is accessible no matter where you are. And then preventative care will still be covered at 100%. So that includes the annual wellness checkups, age-appropriate screenings and procedures, as well as immunizations. So each carrier has more information on their website regarding, that specific age-appropriate schedule, should you ever need to refer to that. And then moving on from medical, we're going to shift our focus to the VACE program, which anyone who's familiar with this knows that it looks a little different, and that's because it is. While the VACE's mission is still to provide employers with voluntary benefits available to their employees, there's also been some great additions made to plan offerings for 2025. The implementation for plans is continued to be simple and easy, and groups as little as 1 to 3 can enroll. Depending on the benefit, there might be a requirement of 3 or more to enroll. You can offer rich benefits for a lower cost, and then these plans are very flexible, and they can be offered to individuals working as little as 20 hours per week. So first, reviewing the dental, there were no changes when it comes to the plan design for 2025, but you will see a premium increase, which will be effective January 1st. That's listed at the bottom of this page, and anyone who currently has coverage should have been alerted. But for employee only, it would be $52.44, $100.39 for employees plus one, and $181.34 for family coverage. And if you're not familiar with the dental benefits, they're basically broken out into 4 different areas of coverage, which you'll see listed as A through D. And each coverage has its own deductible and waiting period. Sometimes that's set at 0 for both, as well as a percentage of cost share and maximum amount that Delta Dental will pay. For example, those who enroll for January 1st, 2025, if they go to their dentist for preventative cleaning, they'll have that covered at 100% at day 1, and there's no waiting period and no subscriber cost share. And then to touch upon renewals, they were set out to be distributed in late October or early November. So if you haven't seen yours yet, definitely keep an eye out for USPS, because that is how they will be delivered. And if you don't offer this benefit and you are interested in it, you can either work with your broker or you can self-enroll. There's a lot of information on their new and improved website that provides you the steps necessary to get this implemented. And then the VACE Vision, again, no changes in plan design, and the rates are actually the same as well for 2025. Those are, again, listed at the bottom. Vision tends to be the easiest benefit to understand, I feel. So the benefit details and frequency allowance are all the way to the left, and then in the middle is the network benefit, and then there's also a non-network reimbursement all the way to the right. So again, renewals are the same, as well as the enrollment process. So if you have any information or if you'd like to set this up, definitely reach out to your broker, or you can ask me questions at the end of this or outside of this benefit briefing. And there's more information on the VACE website as well. So moving on to new employee benefits for chamber members. So I think it was last month, VACE partnered with CS1, which is a New Hampshire-based enrollment firm, as well as Colonial Life, and they now offer worksite benefits to chamber members. So these benefits are flexible, they're affordable, and it's basically an added layer of protection to employees. They also give chamber members a valuable tool for enhancing, your benefit package and also strengthening your workforce. So benefits include life insurance, both term and whole, accident insurance, critical illness, short-term disability, as well as pet insurance. So there's lots of perks with these benefits, but a few that I find most exciting. My favorite is all these plans are portable, which means employees can bring these benefits with them if they leave the workplace. I think this is my favorite because when I actually had my son, my only source of income during my maternity leave was through the short-term disability that I had through Colonial Life, which I did take with me from my prior employer. So I always thought it was a benefit when it comes to portability. The premiums are also fixed as well, which means that if you're an employer and you do have payroll deductions, you don't have the administrative task to stay on top of annual increases or any age bracket changes. So that's another plus. They're also very flexible and they're easy to administer. Both VACE and CS1 are there to assist with the initial and ongoing enrollment, or you can work with your broker as well. And again, they're available to 3 or more employees. This can include the owner, and only one needs to purchase on some of their plans. And again, part-time, around 20 or more hours per week is kind of their limit. So those are some perks. So if you are interested and you're curious on what it will look like, here's a little overview. Once you decide that you want to offer this plan, you can either alert your broker and they'll make the connection with CS1, or you can connect with CS1 directly. More information and their point of contact is on the VACE website. CS1 will then kind of take it over from there. They'll discuss the enrollment strategy and timeline with you. They'll schedule some time to meet with your employees to go over these benefits, calculate costs, do a little bit of comparison. And then my favorite part about being a client of Colonial Life in my previous role was they will actually hand you the payroll deductions. So if this is something that you do set up through payroll, you don't have to go through the tedious task of trying to calculate this out, which does remove a lot of room for error. And then another amazing part too is Colonial Life will actually meet with you and review your first invoice just to make sure you're getting familiar with what to expect every month, make sure that everyone's enrolled properly. You can compare it to deductions that you are taking out of payroll, and they'll just be able to make sure that your first invoice is actually accurate. So then going forward, you have something to compare it to. And then on the Colonial Life side of things, Colonial Life will receive the group enrollment from CS1. They'll also send materials directly to the employees as well to the employers. They'll be the one who will send you the invoice, and then they will actually be the one to pay out any benefit claims that come through. So briefly exploring some of the worksite benefits a little bit more in detail. This is a brief overview, but again, VASE has a lot of this information and more on their website. That's very helpful. So feel free to poke around on their website and let me know or anyone on their website if you have any questions. So when it comes to life insurance, they offer both term life and whole life. Whole life has a guaranteed level premium, a guaranteed cash value, and a guaranteed death benefit. So it's up to $200,000 for those who are 50 years of age or younger, and up to $75,000 for those aged 51 through 80. This coverage is actually permanent for the life of the policy to age 100, provided that premiums are paid when they're due. There's also an option to purchase policies on a spouse or if you have children. And then the monthly premium cost depends on the amount of the payout elected as well as the age of the issuer. Focusing over to term life, this can be a 10, 15, 20, or 30-year term. The death benefit ranges, and it can also provide you the ability to purchase a policy on a spouse. And premiums, again, are dependent on the employee's age as well as the smoker status. Moving on to accident insurance. Accident insurance helps offset expenses that may result from an accident or injury. This is paid directly to the employee, no matter about any other payments that might be coming through. You can also add a spouse or child to this plan. There's a guaranteed issue, and then there's an additional perk. If you have an annual physical, you can receive a $50 reward. Oops. Critical illness, this pays a lump sum if there's a diagnosis, up to $20,000 in coverage, and you can also add an additional $10,000 coverage on a spouse. There's 20% participation, or if you have 20% participation, there's no need for a medical questionnaire, which is another bonus. So again, there's more information on this as well as, a bigger review of the rates and cost as well on the VASE website. Moving to short-term disability, there's up to a 60% payout, up to $4,000 a month. There's 6, 12, or 24 months of benefit. There are options to the waiting periods. And then again, the premiums are based on the employer industry, the classification of risk, as well as the age of employees. So again, there's more information on the VASE website. And then moving on to the pet insurance, this is through a company called PinPaws, and each chain member basically receives a dedicated URL to post on their website. So if you are an employer who decides to offer this, there isn't any administration task that you need to do. There's no payroll deductions. Basically, it's just that one URL code that you will give to your employees. They'll be able to go online. They'll be able to, cost out what it would cost, for either their pet or pets to see how much that would be a month, go over what it would include, and then that would be paid directly by the employee. And then here are just some plan options and coverage details. It shows you the annual benefit, the deductible, the reimbursement, and the routine care. Obviously, this is just very light, but there is a lot more information found on the VASE website. So just a quick overview and some reminders. There were no changes in the VASE dental or vision plan designs, but a slight increase in the cost for only the dental plans. There are new worksite benefits, Implementation can be made direct or through a broker, and more information is available on the new and improved VACE website. So for those who do have questions, I am available either now or after the entire presentation, or you can reach out to me directly.
Great. Thank you, Rose. And we'll pause for a little bit for any questions. I do want to say the VACE group, not to be confused with the Vermont Association for Chamber of Commerce Executives, but VACE Plus is a subset of that group. And many of you have congratulated me on a new job. I'm not going anywhere, but I am the chair of that association just for a bunch of chambers to get together. And that was the original impetus to the healthcare and then dental and vision. And so we're really excited from the full VACCE group to be offering this again to our members. And as Rose pointed out, additional kind of insurances. And I think that there are two bookends here. There is how can our members be using this type of vehicles and benefits to encourage staff to be retained, as well as new staff coming in. We know that our new employees are looking for a very holistic way of looking at their job and their career. And so I think the Richards Group, I think VACE Plus is a great platform for us to offer that. And then on the other bookend, we have our state treasurer, Mike Piechek, which is going to say, how do we attract more people to the state of Vermont? How do we keep people in the state of Vermont? And part of that is going to be through his Vermont Saves program. So before we head over to state treasurer, let's just see if there's any general high-level questions for Rose. And Rose will also provide the contact for Rose if people have more private questions too. So any questions for Rose at the moment?
I do see one in the chat about life insurance remaining in force if the employee leaves the employer, or is it terminated once they leave? So those benefits are portable, meaning that if the employee does leave their place of employment, they can take it with them.
Great. And again, part of this is because you are a chamber member, you get to access VACE Plus and those additional benefits. If you know employers out there that aren't part of this chamber or any other chamber in the state of Vermont, encourage them to join. One of the benefits of you being a chamber member is specifically this program. What I'm saying is if you are not a chamber member, you wouldn't be able to access VACE Plus and these other great programs. Any other questions? We'll give 5 more seconds and then we'll head over to the state treasurer. Okay, so not hearing any, we'll move over to Mike Piechek, state treasurer for the great state of Vermont. Mike, good to see you again. We're very excited to have you on the call. And why don't you just hop right into the Vermont Saves program and a little bit about yourself as well.
Yeah, it sounds great, Matt. Thank you very much for having me. And thanks for Rose and the Richards Group for that presentation as well. I grew up in Brattleboro, so Richards Group is an organization that was always very supportive of the Brattleboro community, and they always sponsored the in the radio program in the morning. They sponsored the report about whether we would have school or not during the winter. So we always appreciated that, especially when we had a snow day. I also want to recognize Becky Wasserman, who joined the call as well. Becky was our director of Vermont Saves. She's now our director of financial empowerment in the treasurer's office and has been working to operationalize Vermont Saves. And she's been doing a great job with that. And she's been working with the advisory council that we put together to help set up Vermont Saves as well. And Colleen McQuaid, who runs Juniper Lane down in Bennington, is a member of that advisory board, and that board and Becky have just done an excellent job getting this program set up very quickly and very efficiently. And there's actually a pilot program underway currently that employers are participating in, that employees have had accounts that have been funded, and that those funds will soon be invested for their retirement. So we're excited about the progress we've made. And I think I'll take a minute to just describe a little bit about the program and why we did it, and then talk a little bit about the operations. And if Becky thinks there's anything I left off, I'm happy to ask her to, mention anything that's of importance. But, the concept here was that there were a lot of Vermonters who don't have retirement through their workplace. There are small businesses that have a hard time providing that benefit. There are nonprofits that similarly have a hard time providing that benefit. So we wanted to focus on that part of our employer base, that part of our employee base that did not have access to retirement through their workplace. And the reason we were so focused on that is because all the financial literacy reporting and academic reports that you can find will suggest that if you don't have access to retirement through your employer, you're just not likely to save for retirement. And that means you have a less financially independent retirement, less dignity in retirement, more dependent on state aid and federal aid and the like. So our goal was to try to make it easier for people to start saving for their future, to build that stronger, independent, financially independent retirement, and build more dignity in the retirement into Vermont, and make it easier for people to be able to afford to retire and live in Vermont as well. So the program would require any business that doesn't provide retirement currently with 5 or more employees to sign up for Vermont Saves. So if you're a business that offers a 401k or some kind of similar retirement program, or you have a pension program, or you have fewer than 5 employees, Vermont Saves wouldn't require you to sign up. There's nothing that you have to do. But if you are 5 or more employees, whether you're a for-profit or not-for-profit business or employer rather, you would be required to sign up for the program. And there is no cost to employers to participate in the program. It is a state administered, publicly administered program. The funding comes originally from the state of Vermont that's providing one-time funding, but then eventually when the program is up and running, the funding would come from a small fee that's assessed on individual retirement accounts, similar to how a 401k would be administered. Only in this case, we're able to do it at a pretty low fee price point, which we're excited about because we want most of that money to be working toward individuals' retirement. So on December 1st, the full program will launch. I mentioned that we have a pilot program that's underway. And between December 1st and February 28th, there is a enrollment period, sort of an extended outreach period and operation period where individuals will be receiving information from our office. They'll be receiving information from our vendor partner, Vestwell. That may be through the mail, maybe by email, maybe through other mechanisms, depending on how we've gotten contact information for the small business. And it'll have all the information about Vermont Saves. It'll have the information about the website where you can go and take control of your account as an employer. It'll have information for your employees who can go and register themselves on that website as well. I put the website into the chat, but it's vtsaves.vermont.gov. It has additional Q&A there if people have questions as well. But once you're an employer who gets that information, signs into your account, there's really just very simple process for you to get fully registered with Vermont Saves. We want you to confirm your contact information. We want you to identify and upload your payroll. We want you to identify the period of time in which you make payroll, and then provide any bank account information. We went through it as an office when we were going through the legislative process of establishing Vermont Saves, and we found that it was very intuitive, that it was very easy to accomplish. The payroll part of it works with a lot of other payroll providers so that it can have very easy integration there with someone that you already work with. And that was a great comfort to us, knowing that it was something that operationally was going to be really easy for a small business that has a million other things going on to set this up and have that benefit for their employees. So if you're an employee that works for one of these companies that will be enrolled in Vermont Saves, you will similarly get a notification that you've been enrolled in Vermont Saves, that a Roth IRA will be set up for you. And then you have a 30-day period of time to decide whether you want to opt out of the program. And if you don't make any affirmative decision, you will be in the program. And that was an important point because we've found in other types of benefits like this that people kind of need an incentive or a nudge to make a good financial decision for themselves. And sometimes that inertia of just not deciding one way or the other will prevent people from starting to save for retirement. And then they'll lose a tremendous amount of retirement gains because they haven't invested earlier, and they always look back and wish that they had. So it's an opt-out program. You have those 30 days to opt out. At the end of the 30 days, the account will be established for you. there'll be a 5% payroll deduction that will go into your Roth IRA. And then there's basically another 30-day period where somebody has the option of saying, boy, I didn't realize that what this meant for me. I'm going to opt out of the program. And that money will not have been invested. There'll be a 30-day waiting period on top of the original 30 days. And then you can claim your money out of the Roth IRA. That's why we set it up to be a Roth, is because it has very limited, or very is not limited, I should say, for you to have access to it without penalty or tax implications, so long as it's the principal that you're pulling out and not any income that you've earned while the money's been in the Roth. So there's basically a 60-day period there where your money is not at risk. It's waiting for you to decide whether you want to fully participate in the program. You can always opt out of the program anytime. You can always take control of your account, so you can decide you want to have more than 5%. You want to deduct 8% or 10%. You want to deduct less than 5%. That's always an option. And then you have some choices in terms of how to make the investments as well. We're trying to provide a suite of options, but not too many options to provide sort of that decision paralysis that sometimes people worry about. If you don't make those decisions on your own, then the funds will be invested consistent with what your expected retirement date will be. So they won't be sitting in an account not earning investment returns if you don't take action. They'll actually actively get put into investments that are sort of like target date funds with your expected retirement date. So it's very easy for the employee. It's very easy for the employer. That is really key to this program. It's a very low cost program in terms of the amount of fees that individuals have to pay. We also partnered with the state of Colorado, who was partnered with the state of Maine and the state of Delaware to bring down the overall cost of this program. We are basically leveraging the benefit of all of our scale together to bring the assets under management as high as possible and the fees down as low as possible. So again, it's something that we've been able to set up in just about really since it passed less than 18 months, which is we feel is quite remarkable in terms of being able to provide this benefit to employers and to employees. We review it really as a win all the way around, a win for employers who don't have to pay to provide to provide a retirement benefit to their employees. We view it as a big win for employees to have that automatic deduction be able to occur, to have that workplace offered retirement. And then we see it as a benefit to the state of Vermont long term, that people will save more, have more retirement earnings, and therefore have more retirement savings, be more independent in retirement, less dependent on the state of Vermont and on our budget, and will benefit the economy as people are able to have more discretionary income in their retirement years. So we're excited for the launch in a couple of weeks, and excited to see how many people enroll in the program and what their experiences are. But Matt, I'm happy to answer any questions or let Becky fill in anything I might have forgotten.
Great. Becky, anything to add to what Treasurer Pichek said?
No, I don't have anything to add, but happy to also answer any questions that come up. Thanks.
Great. One question I think we had was, if you're already signed up, if your employer already offers a 401k or any type of retirement vehicle, could you also take a secondary vehicle in signing up for Vermont Saves? Does your employer having a program for you limit your access to Vermont?
So I'm gonna tee that up for Becky, because she's been some of these questions were questions that had been in flux for us for a while, and we wanted to nail down the answer. But the other question the other part of that question I want Becky to be able to answer is, if you have fewer than 5 employees, so if you're a self-employed individual or just a small business with a couple of employees, can you voluntarily participate in Vermont Saves? So maybe I'll add to that, to the question, and ask Becky.
Sure. So the answer is, if your employer has 5 or more employees and already has a workplace plan, The employer is not required under the law to automatically enroll their employees. So an employer would not be getting that notification that the treasurer mentioned either through mail or email. That being said, an individual that works for an employer that has a workplace plan or that has an employer with less than 5 employees can voluntarily participate in Vermont Saves. And the way it would work, it would be different than the automatic enrollment aspect of the program for the employers who are mandated to participate. It would be that individual enrolling on their own into the program to create a Roth IRA, and their contributions would be made through automatic deductions from their own bank account. It would not be made through payroll deduction. And they, would have their sort of responsibility for setting up those deductions on their own and signing up on their own. So it would just, you can voluntarily participate. It would just look a little bit different than if it was mandated from your employer.
Okay. Great. Any other questions for the State Treasurer Pichek or Becky or even Rose, if you've thought of something new for Rose?
Mike, I'm sorry, I may have missed this. Who did you say would be overseeing the plan once it's
Yeah,
started?
so our vendor that we've had the benefit of contracting with because they had a contract with Colorado to begin with is called Vestwell. So Vestwell will be the entity that's helping us with the website, with the administration, sending out the notifications, helping run the call center, helping with all that administrative work that is really important in making sure the program gets up and running well.
Okay. Good. Well, if nobody has any other questions, speak up now. But we want to thank State Treasurer Mike Pichek for joining us, Becky as well from his office joining us, as well as Rose from the Richards Group. We thank them so much. We also thank again our Heritage Family Credit Union friends and partners over there who have sponsored most of the educational programs throughout this year. We hope they do it again next year. I know Erica has been working hard at many, many more programs to come in the 2025 year. Make sure you join us at our annual membership meeting in January to first learn about those programs that are coming up. We'll do more lunch and learn. My guess is we will have a lunch and learn next November around healthcare, Base Plus. Probably, State Treasurer can also update us about how the retirement program has been doing for the last year. We do have one question that came in from Jen, so I'll read it and then we can see who it goes to. If employees are already contributing the max allowed into a Roth IRA on their own, would the company need to show proof of that to not be automatically enrolled? Maybe
I can answer that if you want, Mike. So having an individual retirement account does not exempt an employer from being mandated to participate if they have 5 or more employees and don't offer their own employer-sponsored plan. So what would happen in that situation is the employer would they would have to comply with their requirements of automatically enrolling their employee. But the employee, if they are already contributing to a Roth IRA, would just opt out of the program. They could choose to opt into this Roth IRA. They just have to be mindful of the maximum amount that is allowed under the law to contribute annually to Roth IRAs. So between their 2 accounts, they would just have to make sure they're not exceeding that limit. But that's on the employee. There's no sort of mandate on an employer to know what an employee is contributing into a Roth IRA account. And I think that there was another question on whether there are limitations to contributions if an employee is in a plan. So I think that goes to the same point that an individual that has a Roth IRA plan still, outside of the state mandate, still has to comply with the annual limitations that are imposed on a Roth IRA.
And we got a couple more in the comment box. So just to follow up with Jen, so the company would still need to enroll even if all of the 5 employees opt out due to already having Roth IRAs? Question mark.
Yes, the company under the law is if they have 5 or more employees and don't have a workplace plan, they have to comply with the enrollment part. But it's a program that's completely voluntary for employees, so employees would just opt out of the program.
Okay.
And
And
I
again,
see some other questions as well, so I can let you facilitate
and
that.
this, again, at no cost to the employer, so will take time to register their employees into the program. But outside of that, there is no out-of-pocket cost passed on to the employer. It's just that they're the vehicle for the employee to get to this retirement savings account plan.
Right.
Let's make sure we answered Michael's question. How would one choose their risk tolerance? Roth IRA can be many programs such as fixed, indexed, annuity, mutual funds, etc. Would return be tied to an index, target fund, etc.? Maybe you can help with that one too.
Yeah, I can jump in, Mike.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, go ahead, Becky.
Sure. So the default investment option, so if an employee decides to stay in the program and they do absolutely nothing, they will first be in for the first 30 days a capital preservation fund, which is like a money market fund. And then if they do nothing, it will be moved into a target date fund that is tied to a anticipated retirement age of 65. That's the default. And if they do nothing, if they want to customize, the Vermont Saves also offers investment options in a bond index fund, an international fund, and we will be adding a domestic asset class, I think, at the end of this month as well.
Okay. Ron had a question here. How much can an employee contribute to this Roth plan if they are in a company retirement plan?
I guess the aspect of the employee being in a company retirement plan, the contributions to the Roth are just the same whether or not they are contributing to retirement through another plan. So I believe the 2024 maximum is $7,000, and then it's an additional 1,000. I think it's up to 8,000 if you're 50 or older.
And then 2 people are interested in more information. Where can they find more information about medical reimbursement plans? Is anybody take that one? Anybody? Becky, Mike, Rose. So medical reimbursement plans. Just where to find more information on that?
Yeah, are you talking about like health reimbursement, flexible savings, and health savings accounts?
That's my guess.
Okay. Depending on which carrier you offer, MVP or Blue Cross Blue Shield, each carrier does have their own connection when it comes to that, and sometimes they're free of charge depending on what account you're looking for. There also is a handful of third-party administrators as well, such as Healthy Dollars is one that I can think of off the top of my head that you can set up with as well.
Any other questions while we have this great panel here today? Okay, so not seeing any, we want to make sure everybody gets on their way to the rest of their workday. We thank you so much for joining us. Thank you again to Heritage Family Credit Union, as well as Cat TV for hosting us here today. And we look forward to bringing more programming to all of you in the next year. Again, a big thank you to Rose over at the Richards Group, as well as State Treasurer Mike Pichek and Becky, who joined from the office as well. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye-bye.
This is Mark Grossarth from Heritage Family Credit Union. Heritage Family Credit Union is a proud sponsor of Bennington Chamber of Commerce Lunch and Learn series. I hope you find these Seminars insightful and educational.